Welcome back to In Ohio Country. Today with me I have Kerry Scott with MasLabor. And Kerry is here working in Ohio, and he wants to talk about the guest labor program and why that's so important to Ohio's agriculture. But Kerry, first tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and what program you're actually working with.
Well, I live in Amherst County, Virginia, but work in Nelson County, Virginia for MasLabor. We're agents for the H2A and H2B visa programs, which are guest worker programs for employers with a seasonal need. H2A is the agricultural program, and H2B is the non-agricultural program. We've got a number of clients in Ohio, a number of prospects in Ohio, so I'm up here visiting both to try to develop additional business and see if we can help Ohio farmers meet their seasonal labor needs the right way, which we believe is currently the best opportunity is the H2A visa program that lets them bring in legal guest workers to work specifically on their farm, and at the end of the season go back to their homes in Mexico or one of 40 other countries that they can actually come here from.
You're talking about the H2A program. It's a guest worker program. They come in here the correct way, legally, and have guest worker visa. Tell us a little bit about how the program, where it originated from. You and I had talked yesterday about the history and things about it, and maybe give our folks a little bit of an idea of the background of the program and where it really originally started from.
Sure, Alan. The roots of our program are in a thing called the braceros program, which braceros basically means people who work with their hands. During World War II, when all of our young men were overseas fighting for our freedom, the crops still had to be harvested. So the American government and agriculture employers in this country sought out guest workers from Mexico to come into the country to fill in the need that our young men otherwise would have filled. And it sort of stumbled along for a while until it became officially the H2A, which is the visa designation for temporary agricultural workers, became that program in about 1986. And now it's formalized. It's a program that's managed by the Departments of Labor, Homeland Security, and the State Department. We are agents for that program, and there's a number of other agents for that program. Basically, we help the employer become certified to be able to use it, and that's fairly straightforward. He has to prove that he's in agriculture, and that means a number of things. He can be a beekeeper, he can be a vintner, he can be a sod grower, he can be a row crop grower, vegetables, fruits, whatever, but he has to be in agriculture. He has to prove that he's got a seasonal need. Agricultural employers, such as dairies that have to milk cows every day of the year, it's very difficult, if not impossible, for them to be able to use this program because they don't truly have a seasonal need. And lastly, the employer has to prove that he has attempted to hire enough workers locally and been unable to do so. And to that extent, the extent to which he's been unable to hire locally, he's now allowed to go outside the country to bring in guest workers to harvest the crops. The bulk of them come from Mexico. It's always been that case, but again, there's 40 countries they could come from. Most of the fruit picking that's done on the East Coast is actually done by Jamaicans. For 3 generations, Jamaica's been sending their people up here to be part of the H2A program. A lot of Guatemalans are up here in various capacities. A lot of the beekeeping clients that I have are using Nicaraguans. Others are using South Africans. The custom harvesters, where it's important that they have workers that speak English, they're bringing in workers from South Africa, from Australia, Ireland, Eastern Europe, a variety of different places, but in those cases they're doing it because they need workers that can speak English. Most of the Hispanic workers that come up here have not been here before, so they've not learned how to speak English.
It was interesting. You made reference to some of the different things that the guest workers do in Ohio. What would be some of the examples that the guest workers would be? What kind of farms were they working on? What would they be helping seasonally with here in Ohio?
Well, it's pretty much the gamut of agricultural work, and one of the biggest users of the program is the nurserymen here, the people who are really in horticulture, which is considered part of agriculture. We've got greenhouse growers and nurserymen in a big way using H2A workers in this state. Vegetable growers like Brenkel Farms over in the northeastern corner of the state, they're a customer of ours and a user of the program. I've got sod growers in near Columbus and near Dayton that use the program, and it's basically the whole range of agriculture in Ohio. The row crop growers that are largely mechanized, they don't do it quite so much. Though we have the guys, let's say, that are growing corn, what they call the fresh corn for market part of the business, where there's a lot of handwork involved, they will use the program. Less so than those that are growing corn for ethanol or for feed, let's say. But it's really the whole range of them. And we've got Ohio's one of the biggest states that we do business in, and it's a big user of the H2A program.
Kerry, why is the guest worker program so important to Ohio's agriculture?
Well, the predicament is that the only way that agriculture is going to get the job done in this state is with foreign workers, generally speaking, Hispanic workers. Even in this economy, the last place that the otherwise unemployed are ending up is out on the farms. It's hard work, and it's seasonal. Most Americans want a full-time job, someplace close to their home and their family, and that's just not the way agriculture is in this day and time. So the crops are going to be planted and harvested by guest workers, and in some cases it may be locally hired guest workers, a significant percentage of which are probably not properly documented, or it can be done with H2A workers that are properly documented. I visited a farm just down the road from here yesterday that is hiring locally, but they're making a great effort to make sure that every one of their workers is legal by using what they call the E-Verify program, which I'm sure you've heard about, where each time they hire a new worker, his documentation is checked with the Social Security Department, and if it comes back fine, then they can employ that worker. If it comes back with some question about it, as it sometimes is the case, then that worker is going to have to prove that they are here legally and entitled to work here legally. So that's the other thing. But a significant percentage of the workers that are working in agriculture here now are not properly documented. And there's no good solution for that. The best one that I know of at the moment is a thing called ag jobs, which is a bit of a piece of legislation that's in the Congress now, has been for several years. Its core is a simplified, streamlined H2A program so that they can continue to employ Hispanic workers in agriculture. And it also has within it what they call a pathway to citizenship. Some would call it an amnesty program, which is the thing that makes it difficult to pass this right now. But basically it says that if a given foreign worker can show that he's been in agriculture for a couple of years and commits to staying in agriculture for at least another 3 years, they will have to pay a fine for having been here illegally, because most of them obviously have. Then they can work their way towards a blue card as opposed to a green card, which would allow them to stay here and work, or to come and go and work, as in the case of the H2A program, where this is not their home. Mexico or one of those other 40 countries is their home. But they would be coming up here to work because their choices are very limited down there. This program is important to the workers, and it's important to agriculture. We don't want to find ourselves being fed by the rest of the world. We want to be the people who are feeding the world. And Ohio agriculture is a big piece of that. I drove all over this part of your state yesterday, and I saw corn and soybeans and other crops as far as the eye can see. And if those things are going to be harvested and sold, it's going to be done largely with the help of Hispanic workers and other foreign workers. And our program is a big part of making that happen.
Kerry, we're talking about these programs and the H2A. What's the benefit to the producer, the farmer and the producer, to using your program?
Well, I think that the best way to put it is that it gives them the opportunity to do it the right way. The farmer, the agricultural employer, can be part of the solution and not part of the problem, to not perpetuate the problem that we have illegal aliens flooding into this country to go to work. There is an alternative. It's a government program, so it can be a bit ponderous and expensive at times, which is why we hope ag jobs will eventually pass, because it will make it a simpler, less costly program. But the main thing is it allows farmers, the salt of the earth, so to speak, here, to be part of the solution and not part of the problem any longer, to actually be doing it the right way and yet getting their crops to market and basically being the people who feed the world.
Kerry, thanks for being with us today. If somebody wanted to find out a little bit more about the program, H2A, or about the specifics to that as it relates to that, where can they go?
Well, they should be able to just Google H2A, but I must warn them that that's also the designation for a rocket program that the Japanese have, so don't get confused with those two things. But if you Google H2A, you'll find something about the H2A labor program, and that's H-2 letter A. Or they can go look for us at MasLabor, which is MAS, which stands for Mid-Atlantic Solutions, MasLabor.com, and read a pretty thorough understanding of the program. And if they want our help, they can come get our help. They can do it for themselves. They can find another agent. But we think we're the best in the business, so hopefully they'll come to us.
Kerry, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Enjoyed the opportunity.
We'll be back with more in Ohio Country Today right after this.
For more information about today's show, or to suggest a topic, fax, call, or email us today.